Hey, hey. Okay, I'm timing myself because I could talk for 17 hours on this. So I'm gonna try to keep it around 3 to 4 minutes, but honestly, I highly doubt it. So I'm Jen Shotwell. I'm your new borderline therapist, and I wanted to share the experience of me and my clients when we don't have to do anything, but when we come out as borderline or another personality disorder to others. So one of the first things whenever I talk to people about whether they have a personality disorder or not, and this is true for me, honestly, it's typically a lot of freedom because if you have a true personality disorder and not just like trying to figure out if it's complex PTSD or addiction, like if you've been fully diagnosed with a personality disorder, you've probably had a pretty crazy mind since you were a kid. I remember starting at the age of 5 or 6 that I was very, very different. And I've struggled most of my life to fit into societal norms. And so when I finally got my diagnosis, it felt like relief. But then I also remembered, what are people going to think when they find out I have narcissistic tendencies? What are they going to think when they find out that I'm a borderline? I mean, we can be pretty aggressive when we're unhealthy. And so the biggest thing when we're diagnosed, having to tell people, the fear is, how are people going to respond? The responses that I get a lot of the times, wildly, the first one that I get is, no, you're not, which is always interesting to me because I wasn't asking you a question to begin with. But whenever I share, like, oh, I'm borderline and I'm trying to do this, or I'm borderline and I need to be doing something over here, other mental health therapists, other just normie people, their typical response is, no, you're not. The next thing is, does that mean that you're going to leave me, hurt me, abuse me physically, verbally, like any of the things? And so those things are really stereotypical and judging. So, like, yes, in our unhealthiness, a lot of personality disorders negatively affect the people around us. And if you're around that unhealthiness for a long time, it can get pretty bad. But in the moment in which I've met you and I'm disclosing with you like a mental health disorder that I've chosen to share with you, it's not really a question like whether I have it or not. And I don't need to prove to you why I have the mental health disorder. So, a lot of times, this is my own stuff. And for others, whenever I come out as borderline and people say they're like, no, you're not, or why do you think you are? I find myself having to like list off the 10 worst moments of my life so that I can shock you enough to believe that I'm borderline. And that's not a place that I like going. I want to tell you the 10 most positive things. So whenever you find yourself next to somebody who's trusted you enough to share their disorder with you, ask them how it shows up in their life. Ask them what they're working on this year to become healthier. Get in a conversation with them. It's not a crutch that we just get to lean on, but just kind of offering that they don't have it, make them prove it to you, or judging them for it doesn't feel good for anybody. And especially people who are already afraid to tell you that they're borderline or another personality disorder.